All right. Thanks to the help of Grant Flanders, we're ready to go here with a press conference recap video. Not live today because I got to get these subscribers up before apparently
You're
go
not
live from the
popular
phone.
enough to go live, I guess.
I'm not, but you guys are.
Here's the thing. I want to complain for a second, YouTube. You're a great service, but why can he go live from his computer and not from his phone? Like, I understand the subscriber cutoff, but shouldn't it apply to both? I just don't. I gotta be consistent. Let Kurtz go live from his phone.
Hashtag let Kurtz go live.
Let Kurtz go live.
Please get that started.
Ugh.
Get that started. You want to start this out? So I was gonna go through all the tweets that I had from the press conference and kind of hit those point by point, which seems way smarter than the way we had been doing it.
Yeah.
But the first tweet I'm seeing here is about the new schedule that's out for 2020. Why don't you start by telling everybody about the nice joke that you had about
I think it was a pretty
about
good
the schedule
joke.
in K-State's starting on the road again.
I was pretty proud of it. I want to give some credit to Natalie Hall, my wife, of course, who I like to bring up on the game every chance I get. She kind of sarcastically hollered at me, "Hey, did you see the new schedule? They start on the road again. We'll have to hear about that." And I said, "Yeah." And then she said, "Oh, and they end on the road too. It's ridiculous." And I said, "I know." And then I hollered back. I said, "And they play some games in the middle on the road. What is the Big 12 doing in K-State? They got to open on the road, in on the road, play in the middle." Like, yeah, I think it's a funny quirk for sure. But you play the same amount of home and road games. Well, they're always odd or even because 9 teams. But anyway, I was pretty proud of the middle show. Pretty proud of it. You can use it yourself if you want.
I guess Did this whole narrative start during the Snyder era because they were like Snyder 1.0 because they were so much better at? Is it because they were so much better at home and the home field advantage meant more back then? Like I guess I just don't totally get the ire that some people have.
I think there's this big perception that momentum matters, more to the results of your season than it probably really does. And I think there's this thought that, well, if you open up at home, you're going to get off to a 1-0 start and then roll from there. I think, that's how I perceive it, is back in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s.
When they just didn't lose at home, right?
Right. You think you don't lose at home. You think you want to play for national championship. You want that momentum. You don't want to take a loss, so you want to get that. I don't know if I even agree with that at that point, to be quite honest with you. I get the idea is that, well, it puts K-State off to a bad start by losing one on the road every year to start. I just don't agree with it. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to mumble around or stumble around it, but I just think is it weird? Sure it's weird, but I don't think it's intentional for one. I don't think even the Big 12 sitting there like, we're going to make K-State play on the road first, because that's going to make them lose, the Big 12, if we do that.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's not like this team is competing for Big 12 championships right now or national championships and all that stuff. You have more. And we can do the selective endpoints thing where, like, okay, well, what if I stop it at 3 games instead of 1?
Right.
And someone could look at it and say, well, K-State gets 2 of their first 3 at home.
Exactly.
They get back-to-back home games against Texas.
Right.
And
How many
Kansas.
teams get 2 out of 3, right, in the first Big 12 at home? K-State's probably one of less than 5. So there's so many different ways that you can break it up.
I just wouldn't lose sleep over it, guys.
I wouldn't either.
That's what I'm saying.
I
wouldn't lose sleep over it. So, press conference today. I guess I'll just ask you before I start going through point by point.
Right.
Anything stand out to you as the most interesting thing?
I just thought the mood was good from Chris Kleiman. I think he is excited about this challenge. I think the whole team is, and I think you'd expect that, of course, but certainly not this big feeling of they know they're an underdog on the point spread, and from anybody who watches football understands that Oklahoma's the better team entering this game, but I don't think they're making a big deal of that. It's kind of the week-by-week stuff we keep hearing so much. I just thought he was more lighthearted than he was last week, in my opinion, and after winning a game probably helps. But I don't know if there's any one point, about football that stood out for me today, other than what we'll talk about, through your notes and that kind of thing.
And I think that, to me, is, like, it's all about the win, right? It has to be all about the win. It's not about the opponent. It's not about the fact that they're playing Oklahoma. I just think he's more lighthearted because he got the win. And if we're going to recap the last press conference that we had post-game, Chris Kleiman made it a point at the end of it to say, like, hey, guys, this was a really big win.
Right.
You saw the video, I don't want to miscredit somebody, but one of the TV stations from Topeka had the video of him and Gene Taylor.
I don't know who did it. I saw the video too.
Maybe Tyler Griever, but I don't. Tyler's a good dude.
If
so
it was somebody else, tell us.
Yeah, please. Sorry. But yeah, it meant a lot, and I think that did relieve some pressure. And now you can, whether or not the coaches would admit to this, you can go play with more of a nothing to lose kind of mentality. In fact, Skylar Thompson said that. He said, hey, we don't really have anything to lose going into this game.
Exactly, and you also heard Chris Kleiman on Saturday talk about not worrying so much about the end results. In life in general, I think he meant not just in football, and worrying about the process and getting there. And I agree with all that. I thought it was very wise for him to say. But on the flip side, then what we experienced Saturday in the presser today shows that winning does impact, of course, how you feel, and it should.
Yeah.
We're not criticizing that at all, and it does change the field tremendously. Because as Kurt and I have talked about probably for 2-3 weeks now, you just didn't want a scenario where a season that started 3-3 ends up, what would it have been? With 4 straight losses going into the Kansas game, 0-4 in the Big 12, it would have felt really, really bad. Now you're 2 games above 500. You have a chance to stay 2 games above 500, even if you lose and beat Kansas next week. It just feels totally different. And you're right. Now you go into a game where nothing to lose. If you happen to pull off this upset, it changes you in an incredibly positive way. And if you don't win it, like people outside of those locker rooms expect, you're still above 500 heading into the Kansas game.
Which, by the way, that's another thing, too, the way Kansas played at Texas. Think of how tense and tight things would be around here. K-State had lost to TCU, and Kansas did what they did in Austin. Instead, now you can look at it and say, hey, Kansas is not going to be a pushover, but Texas and Austin definitely appears more winnable at this point. As for what was said today, let's start with some injury updates here.
Oh, good, yeah.
So Jordon Brown might be back. It sounds like some testing is going to go on this week to see if Jordon Brown, K-State's running back, would be able to come back into the game. Again, I don't know if the coaches would approach it like this, but my thought on that kind of is, if it's close, if it's iffy, just hold off until Kansas because that game is going to mean so much. But I do kind of doubt that they treat it that way because we saw Malik Knowles, for instance, against Baylor. Be rushed out there for the 4 snaps that he was able to play. So I doubt they would hold Jordon Brown back if he can go, but he is a possibility. And then for Malik Knowles, Chris Kleiman says it'll depend on how much he can practice this week as far as if he'll be able to play a full game against Oklahoma because he was limited and agreed with my assertion that it was like a pitch count.
I think he literally. I remember when you asked that question Saturday, you could tell it clicked with him that it literally what it was. They decided a number of snaps and they said most important would be the back half. So I think you absolutely nailed that terminology for that. I just wanted to say good job.
Well, thank you.
That's all, I guess.
And by the way, I talking about this a lot this week on the game and faithful to our colors and all that, but a lot of great coaching moves. One of them was the way they managed Malik Knowles because he made 2 big plays on the final drive. Obviously the 3rd and 9 conversion, but I keep saying the final drive, the 95-yard drive. I think everybody knows what I'm talking about, the game-winning drive. And even the play where he couldn't cut and didn't shake free from a defender for a huge gain did give them some space and was still a pretty big play in the drive. So they held him out. He made plays down the stretch when they really needed him to. But it sounds like either way, you're going to get some version of Malik Knowles, which is still really encouraging that they at least have some form of Malik Knowles out there.
Glass half full me assumes, and this is assuming I don't know this, that it's going to be better this week, right? Like Kurtz has talked about, didn't play a lot last week, didn't practice a lot last week, but he played, I thought, pretty well when he's in the game. Yeah, he had a hard time cutting. He had 2 times. You mentioned the one back near the goal line that even Chris Kleiman said it. I think that could have gone for an 85, 90-yard touchdown if he could have made that guy miss. And then he had another one, I think it was on the game-winning drive, too, when he caught the ball, slipped down around the 4 or 5 right before the score. So he's very, very big. The point I'm getting at is I'd be surprised if he can't be in better health this week. I don't know why it'd get worse. It could, but I guess what I'm assuming is if there are no setbacks in practice, I wonder if he can't be more or less a full go. He talked about Jordon Brown, and I don't know anything more than what was said today. Like they said, they'll test him Wednesday and find out. I agree with Kurtz. If it's me running this from, a CEO, not having to interact and tell a kid I'm sitting here for this reason perspective, I would probably wait on Jordon Brown too, unless he's just 90, 95, 100%, because I think it's important the rest of the way. But yeah, I think out of those 2, I think you're going to get Knowles, maybe not Brown, but I think he's at least getting closer, which is a positive sign.
It is. This team, the offense, it's like they exhaled on Saturday because it did look at least somewhat passable, and now you're starting to get more healthy, and you can see things clicking, including Skylar Thompson in the run game. Now, he had 10 carries on Saturday, and I did find it interesting that Chris Kleiman said today probably 8 to 12 is an ideal, acceptable amount of carries for Skylar Thompson to have. I kind of even wonder if they'll push it to that much, for a lot of these games, but I do wonder, especially if they continue to be somewhat limited in terms of the talent that they have on offense healthy, how tempted they will be to use that, because it's clear that is an element that they can really utilize, and that's why Bill Snyder, frankly, did it over the last few years. It just also burned those guys into the ground, and Alex Delton or Skylar, they couldn't stay healthy.
It's such a great topic. We can talk about this for 30 minutes on your show. I mean, because I love running the quarterback to generate things. When we were on Power Cat Game Day last week, it's what I talked about. I referenced, it was funny, I'm going to brag now.
Yeah, that's what we should be talking about too. You called it.
Well, the funny thing was I referenced on Power Cat Game Day, I said, I'm sure they saw what Brock Purdy did. You know, he ran for 12 for like 112 against them, and they're going to do that. And then Skylar Thompson in postgame, first thing he said was, we saw what Brock Purdy did, and so we have to run the ball against them. So I think now they've understood that's something they can do, but I'm with Kurt. It's like 12 gets to be too high for me. Here's my point I was going to try to get back to. You could argue, and you'd be right, that K-State would be a better running team if they were running the quarterback 20 to 25 times a game and really committed to that. I think they'd have more success running. But would they be a better football team? I don't know if they would, right? I mean, the team's 4-2 right now. They were 2-4.
Really rolling the dice.
Right, exactly. They were 2-4 at this point last year. So just because you could do something to create numbers in the running game, not that you're arguing for this, I just think it's an interesting conversation. They could find a way to run the ball better if they ran Skylar 15 or 20 times a game, but their team would become worse. So I think they're handling it right. I'd like to see it more than we have this year, but I think last week it was probably about the limit. You know, maybe 2 or 3, maybe even 4 designed ones. You ask them to be ready against man coverage on 3 or 4 times to pull down. Now you're at 8. 8 to 10 is probably enough. I think you start getting to 12, 14, 15. We've seen what happens. You know, you're tempting that. But I do think it needs to be a part of the running game because I think we've learned at this point, halfway through the season, they're not going to just line up against Big 12 teams and pound it at them 40 times for 250 yards. It's just not going to happen. It would have to come through a little bit of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, because, I mean, right now, like, you know, Skylar had, what was 61-yard run, right?
Yeah, 61 or 66. Yeah, 61 I think is what I've been hearing, though.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. You know, I do have a computer in front of me,
yeah,
or whatever.
On Twitter questions.
Yeah. You take that out, I mean, they had like 35 yards rushing. I mean, it was under 50 yards rushing with everybody else. So they are still having some problems running the ball. Now, TCU is statistically the best run defense in the Big 12, so hopefully that'll start to lighten up a little bit. But yeah, they're having to get creative. I thought the coaches did a great job really schematically working around that on Saturday, which was very, very encouraging. And a part of that obviously was Skylar running the football. Chris Kleiman just had a lot of praise about Oklahoma and their defense in particular. I think what's interesting that he said about the Oklahoma defense is that they're getting off of blocks really well, and that is the sign of a great defense. So as a defensive guy, he even made the comment on the teleconference that he has fun watching Oklahoma play defense right now, which should tell you something about where the Sooners are with Alex Grinch now as their new DC.
Yeah, it's not all hype. I know if you're not watching Oklahoma and you're a K-State fan, so you're not watching the Sooners week to week, you might hear about this defense and think it's still that Oklahoma defense that K-State has had, not last year as much, but 2 years ago, a ton of success against. It's totally different. I mean, Alex Grinch was fantastic at Washington State. He was great last year at Ohio State, and this Oklahoma defense has always had players. You know, we're not dumb enough to think that they can have all these highly ranked recruiting classes, and they all happen not to be on defense. They're not I don't know if they're an elite unit yet. They're not one of these groups that's going to win national championship because of their defense. Right. They're not that kind of defense. But they're not a weakness, that's for sure.
Might be like a top 25-ish
Right,
defense.
Exactly. And they've got one guy in Kenneth Murray who I don't know if there's a better defensive player in college football. There probably is. Chase Young at Ohio State, Derek would tell you is better. There's probably more, but they're not a weakness anymore. So it's going to be a situation where in the past you would think you could hang around with them because you can score, you can possess the ball, those kind of things. Now they're going to hurt you on offense, and then if you come out and can't beat Oklahoma is, and then if K-State can't come out and be very efficient, it'll be 3 and out after 3 and out after 3 and out. Then you get down 21 against an offense going to keep scoring, and then the running game completely disappears. So I don't know that K-State's going to get blown out like a lot of teams have by Oklahoma this year, but it is a scary game because of that defense having a chance to do that to you.
It will probably go better than it did last year, which I found one interesting comment from Skylar Thompson. He said he felt like in the second quarter last year of that game that a lot of his teammates just wanted the game to be over.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that was the one where you could tell like Bill
yeah.
Snyder's demeanor really changed after the game. Like it was not pretty, and Oklahoma could do whatever they wanted offensively. If you are curious, now it's an impossible question to answer, to ask Chris Kleiman, like, hey, what do you want to take away from Oklahoma? Because you're going to take something away. This is where I need Scotty Hazel to explain it to me then. Well, they can do this, they can do this, they can do this.
Yeah.
But he did say stopping the run, whether it's Jalen Hurts or the actual traditional ground game of the Sooners, that is where they want to start. So it'll be geared toward trying to stop the run and then see what you can do from there.
I fall in love, with the CeeDee Lambs and the Charleston Rambos and Jalen Hurts in the passing game. But Chris Kleiman's right. I mean, that is what you have to stop first. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Like I said, we have a computer, but we're not using it that way. But I know when I was watching them play against Texas, they're rattling off the stats, and they have so many different running backs who average more than 6.5, more than 7 yards a carry on a number of carries. It's not guys with 3 carries.
Right.
I mean, they're a fantastic running team. Jalen Hurts was referred to by Chris Kleiman today as just being an easy runner. It looks so effortless for them. He runs a little bit like Vince Young. He's not that tall and he's not Vince Young, but wears kind of an effortless stride and he's just covering ground. So I think he's right. We're all going to expect the explosive plays to come in the passing game for Oklahoma and be scared of those guys. But Kurtz is pulling up right now. Their running game has been incredibly diverse and so many different guys that can hurt you. If you don't stop that, they will just move down the field at 8 yards a pop running the football against you.
Man, yeah. Kennedy Brooks, 45 carries, 8.5 yards per carry. Trey Sermon, 50 carries, 7.2 yards per carry. Ramondre Stevenson, 39 carries, 9.2 yards per carry.
Right.
So
what's Jalen Hurts at even?
That's not bad. Jalen Hurts is at 8.4 yards per carry on
Sacks
84
included.
attempts.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts runs the ball a lot for the Sooners. So I do understand then why Chris Kleiman's emphasis would be to try and stop the run. I'm seeing one other injury note that I didn't throw in here because I asked it later in the press conference, but Jerron McPherson, K-State's nickelback, does have a knee issue.
Is there fear in McPherson?
There is.
Is there a McPherson? Is that correct?
That is what the
I asked
official.
that as a sincere question. I really didn't know. Yeah.
That is the official
I'm
pronunciation
Sorry,
guide. It says Jerron McPherson.
It.
It's a hard habit to break. But a knee injury is not significant, is what Kleiman said, but he also didn't practice yesterday, so hopefully K-State can get some out of him. But they were very happy, Chris Kleiman was very happy with Jonathan Durham, who came in and played a lot at the nickel, and I did think played a very good game.
No doubt about it. I mean, he was a guy that TCU tested down the field on a fly at least one time, and he didn't really allow any separation. He was good otherwise. He's a pretty good football player. We've said that for a little while. I know people can see on the perimeter and get exposed a little bit and think he's not a good player. He is. Jared McPherson's a really good player too, though. McPherson. I can't do it. So it would be a great week to get him back because of the depth that Oklahoma's going to throw at you in waves in their offense in general. But like Kurtz is kind of saying, or maybe Chris Kleiman implied, I don't think it's necessarily a big drop-off, if at all, right now from McPherson to Durham. But in general, the depth would be an issue not to have McPherson out there.
All right, let's take some questions here before we wrap this thing up. From Andre.
He was here. He was
right here.
Yeah, you were here too, I guess.
Saw him.
Yeah, never mind. Yeah, you were here too.
Yeah, I waved.
Yeah.
Andre says, what would a win over Oklahoma mean overall for the Kleiman era? Maybe giant. Now, it's not like the be-all, end-all. I think to the Ron Prince Texas win, which was Ron Prince's first year, right, in 2006.
Right.
So, it doesn't guarantee anything, but I mean, it would be massive. It would be massive for early recruiting momentum. It sounds like recruiting visitor-wise, there might be some fun recruiting visitors in here on Saturday. I think it would probably help out a lot with that. So, I mean, it would be pretty big.
I agree, but I think Kurt's made a great point. It wouldn't necessarily mean anything, though. I mean, because like we said, what did the win over Texas mean? What signal did that give you for Ron Prince's era? None. They were pretty unsuccessful ever since that game ended through the end of it. So I'm not trying to deter you from wanting K-State to win this game. It would be a big deal. But just like if they lose, it's not really going to impact anything. If they win, it would feel really fun. It could be a sign of something great, but it wouldn't necessarily prove anything. We just saw Kansas go down to Austin and they lost. A loss is a loss. But if they had beat Texas and Austin, what would that have meant for Les Miles? I don't know. So just in a one-game scenario, not a lot. But it'd be a lot of fun. It would be something to build upon, no doubt about that. I'm not trying to say it wouldn't matter. I'd be excited for K-State if they beat Oklahoma on Saturday.
Here's a fun question. Would you rather have a 3-point loss to Oklahoma and only a 3-point win over Kansas, or would you rather have a 30-point loss to Oklahoma and a 30-plus point win over Kansas?
30 and 30 for me.
To me, it's like ESPN, man. 30 for 30.
30 for 30, exactly.
30 for 30.
Yeah. I think, just for the same reasons as you. It's like no one wants to lose a game by 30, so that would suck. I could say suck on YouTube probably, for lack of a better term. But you want to establish dominance in the Kansas rivalry for recruiting, for all that kind of stuff. Losing to Oklahoma by 30 will probably have zero impact, literally, on your recruiting. Beating Kansas by 30 may have an impact on your recruiting. So that's why we picked that.
Yeah, there's a lot more of a tangible impact there. And it's not like, what do you gain from losing by 3 to Oklahoma?
Yeah, I mean, you could talk about it and be excited, but same thing. Are you praising, not you, Andre, but should Kansas be feeling good right now because they just barely lost to Texas? If you think that, then losing by 3 to Oklahoma would be value, but a loss is still a loss at the end of the day.
Also asked about Kleiman's demeanor. I think what you said, it felt like he was a little bit just more light
I thought so.
with today. Andre was saying he felt like it was kind of a nervous smile and energy. I don't know if I really pick up on
you know what?
nervous.
No.
I mean,
I say yeah. I would pick the wording too. I thought almost like an excited, impressed. Almost like not in awe, but I think he. I don't think he's at awe and all. But when I see your nervous smile or nervous excitement, I think he's a little bit nervously impressed, excited. Like he wants this challenge. He's excited for it, but he's not going into it with like, I can't wait to do this because we're going to beat Oklahoma because they're a fraud.
Right.
He goes into it knowing they're really, really, really good. But there's that part of him that says, yeah, this would be exciting to do. So I think that's what I saw. And some might see nervous excitement. I wouldn't say that's crazy, but yeah, I'd use a different word. But
Mike says, sit everyone, take the L, and be ready for the next game. I mean, like if this were NCAA football,
right.
like that's the way that you would do it on the Xbox. But the problem is, like, you can't. There is, even though we lean toward that, like, hey, be cautious, and you can't really do that to your locker room and sell that to your locker room that, hey, we're not going to go. We listened to Josh Youngblood today talk about how, like, these are the kind of games that he's excited to play, and this is why he wanted to play college football, to go out and play Oklahoma. So what, you're going to just take the wind out of his sails and say, hey, guys, we're just going to cash this one in, and, I mean, it's...
And I get what we're saying that, too. I get it, but, like, me playing high school basketball is not like K-State playing football against Oklahoma. Man, we played teams that were way better than us, and I don't remember. I mean, the point is, like, to viewers or you, like, you always think you're going to win, right? I mean, no team. I mean, unless you're just terrible in a good amount of the season, like and K-State's 4-2. They're halfway through the season. They shouldn't think they're giving up the season. I guarantee you, they're going to go into that game in their locker room thinking they're going to win that football game, and I would too if I was on that team. I'll pick Oklahoma to win. I think they're the better team. But, yeah, they're going to go into this thinking they're going to win it. That's how it goes in sports. KU thought they'd win in Austin Saturday night.
Yep.
It's just how it goes. So, while, we all understand it. I'm not making fun of the question. And in the back of my mind, I think the same thing. They're going to go in that game thinking they're going to win. And if they don't, they're going to be heartbroken. That's just how sports work.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed. Yeah. I can't believe you guys played anybody better than you at Canton Gal, though.
Well, I don't think we ever did. I mean, we were under 500, so apparently we did. I never thought anyone was better. I never know what the cameras. I keep looking over there. Camera's right there.
Yeah, that part right there.
The dot. Yeah.
All right, hit us up on Twitter if you have anything else. We'll answer it for you on the Twitters. We're not here. Thank you.
That's good.
Bye.